can't see me because I'm very, very. Yeah. Got
I
it.
can see you, Jerry. Yes, great.
Sure. Even if I'm sitting in Spain, it's a bit far away. Yeah, but you can all
Yeah,
see me. Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I see my master, Juan Perez too.
That's excellent. Hey guys, so I want to start the meeting by first of all welcoming you all here. Today is the Graduates Progress Call of Saturday, October 28, and I see that everybody has, well, not everybody, but many of you have come with your Halloween outfits, so thank you for doing that. And today we have a very, very special guest, but first I would like to pass the baton to Juan because he's going to do the introductions. And please, everybody, mute yourself as we are recording now. And thank you. There you go, Juan.
All right. Hello, good morning, afternoon, good night, depending where you are. And it's a pleasure seeing you again and again and again and again for so much time. And yeah, exactly. Like Poliana said, we have a special guest because, as you know, Dr. Bandler, since he begun this journey of 53 years, I believe, of creating and designing this wonderful technology of NLP, he had worked with a lot of people. And the guest that we have here has been with him for over 30. So I don't know who's more lucky. I think he's the one who's lucky because when he talks about Kathleen La Valle, you can see how he expresses that she is one of the best person, and the ones that were in July with us, the practitioner that knows NLP to the core and keeps developing it each time she's teaching and working with somebody. So when he created with Dr. Grinder the Meta Model over some decades ago, still to this date, when he talks about the Meta Model, he says that Kathleen La Valle is the only person that he trusts to teach it for him because she teaches actually better than him, I quote. So we're going to have a great morning, afternoon, night, depending where you are. So just keep one thing in mind. Have fun, enjoy the exercise, and jump right in. Remember, NLP is like a sport. So if you're going to learn how to swim, you have to get in the fucking pool. It's not in the sofa. I understand. So let's get wet. Kathleen, all yours. Let's go.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that humbling invitation. I'm thrilled to be with you guys. I think it's great. A lot of our seminars, we always recommend people getting together and doing some study groups or some, working with the material afterwards. Some people foolishly think you go to a seminar and you leave the seminar and you don't ever crack a book or talk about it or practice or exercise with it or use it. And it's just magically going to change your life. And sometimes it does for some people. They make such big shifts during the seminars that those things stay with them for the rest of their lives. And that's, but if you really want to be good at it, if you really want to maybe even train one day or become a trainer or utilize it in different ways, you've got to keep working with it. And I think it's just fabulous with the work that you guys do, that you get together and you laugh, you build good brain juice, you practice these exercises, you talk about it and share your results. This worked, this didn't work. What am I doing? Anyone have a suggestion? Those kind of things are so important. And to reach out to experts to come and assist you with that is great, because that's, Pollyanna said, do you want to? And I was like, yep. I wasn't like, oh, let me think about it. And this is a crazy time. I said to her, I have to look at the dates because we're a little bit crazy, but I'm going to do my best to fit it in. But it was no hesitation in wanting to do this. I really, really love the fact that what you guys are doing. So that being said, let's get to work, shall we? I know that some of you are very familiar with this. So I'm going to start, because I know there's some new people too that haven't been exposed to it. So when I'm talking about the meta model, I'm going to start from as if none of you have ever heard of the meta model before. And if you truly are bored out of your mind, let me know, and I'll give you a challenge to do something different with the information I'm giving you. But I want you to just really review this, and then we'll get a chance to play with it once we get through the first review. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you for a moment. So in the beginning of this first review, so I won't be able to see if there's questions or anything. So Pollyanna, you let me know if somebody has a question, put it in chat, and Pollyanna will let me know to stop and answer the question. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm going to, hopefully this is the right one. I believe it is, because I just did this one for a group in Japan. So I was worried which one I was pulling up, the one with all the Japanese on it or the regular one, but this is the right one. Okay, so here we go. Why is this not okay? Well, we'll do it this way. All right, so everybody can see this? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so in each and every moment of time, we have an experience. This is the experience in the now. So each moment, there's an experience, there's an experience, there's an experience, continuing over and over. In each of these moments, we're taking in information through our senses. And when we take this information in, we're also measuring it against other filters that are in place. So, for example, we have our visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. We have beliefs, we have values, we have sorting patterns, whether we look for things that are similar, we look for things that are completely different, all the different patterns that are in there. And then we also have the ability to delete, to distort, and generalize information. And I'll come back to that in just a moment. So with this information we take in, we send it through the filters and we put it into something called deep structure. And deep structure is our memory. We put it into our memory. And then somebody comes along and says, hey, how was that experience? Now you have to go back into your deep structure, run the information through your filters again in order to be able to communicate it to somebody else. So somebody says, how was that experience? You go get the information, you run it through your filters, and you give the answer. Now, it may not even be verbal. You know, you say, how was that concert last night? And you go, you know, eh. So that may not, that's still a communication. Now, let's talk clients. How many of you who see clients thought you knew exactly what they wanted? You did the job at the end, and they're like, well, yeah, but that's not really what I wanted. And you're like, what? That's what I thought you said. Because you haven't peeled back the information well enough that you know what that experience is, the experience that you wanted to share with them. Now, the deletions, distortions, and generalizations is that we have the ability to delete information. And I've found the older you get, the more you do that, but I'm working on reversing that process. But when you delete information, it's not a bad thing, because if you didn't have the ability to delete information, you would have to remember every single thing your whole life, the temperature of the room, the actual feeling of the chair, and all that stuff at once. You'd go crazy. You couldn't do it. So deleting is a good thing. Now, distortion is my favorite personally, because this is the pattern of creativity. People are able to distort things. And in NLP, we think it's great because if you can look at a problem and distort it into a solution, you know, or distort or look on the bright side of things, all those things that we say to each other, these are capabilities because we have the ability to distort. Engineers will do this in their mind. They can look at a machine and figure out how they want to design it differently. That's distortion. A problem solver, you look at a problem and you kind of rotate it in your mind and look at it from different angles, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know the solution. So distortion is a useful, powerful tool. Generalizations. This is the pattern of learning. If we didn't have the ability to generalize, we wouldn't be able to learn. If we touch something and it was hot, and then we look at an open fire, we would just touch it again to make sure it's hot, because we wouldn't generalize that hot thing that came out of the fire could also be hot. So generalization is a good thing. Now, the problem is that we don't always pick and choose what we delete, distort, and generalize. It just happens in life. It happens in the situation. It happens with whatever's going on with you in that moment. So when a client comes in and gives you their surface structure, what do you want today? How can I help you? Whatever question you use, then they give you the answer. Keep in mind that they're at least 2 filters away from what they really want. Now, your first job is to be able to start peeling back some of their language, their words, their sentences, their structure, peel back to get the pure information. Some of you already know, whether you've taken NLP or not, that, if somebody says to you, well, I want to be relaxed. Do you really know what that means to them? You might know what it means to you, but you may not know what it means to them. People relax differently. Some people relax by jumping off the side of a cliff on a hang glider. That's relaxing for them. You might think, hey, I'd like to go sit on a beach and feel the sun and listen to the salt air going. Listen to the salt air. That's good. That was a good synesthesia. and listen to the breeze and the seagulls and smell the salt air. That's relaxing. So we need to start peeling back the information. Now, one of the reasons I go through this is because a pet peeve of mine is that people look at the meta model patterns as violations. You violated, you did this. No, it's just things that happen. And these distortions, deletions, and generalizations are actually good, because we would want people to generalize. And if you can do this, what else could you do? So we want people to generalize. If you can make this change, how many other changes can you make? You look at a problem. What else can you do with this problem? So these patterns of deletions, distortions, and generalizations are so incredibly useful for you and your clients. And we just need to peel them back when we first see our client, so that we know exactly what they want. Okay, make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, so that's the patterns of the meta model. We have deletions, we have distortions, we have generalizations. So let's start with the deletions. So when you have, so if I walk up to you and I say, I got it, what's the question on your mind? Got what? First of all, would be, is it contagious? But it was like, nowadays, like, I got it. Is it contagious? I don't know. I know, or know what? Okay. So here, information is simply left out. Information simply left out. So what should we call this pattern? Simple deletions. Okay. Easy done. And next one. So now if I say this is a bigger chair, what's the question on your mind? Bigger than what? This is a bigger tree. This is a taller chair. This is a harder job. Harder than what? Bigger than what? Taller than what? How much harder? How much bigger? So in here, we've left out what we're comparing it to. So what should we call this one? Comparative deletions. So you see how easy these are. Wait till you meet her. He's a great guy. They will never let us do that. So the questions are, who is she? Who is he? Who are you referring to? Who are they? So, and by the way, in business land, because I always like to give some business examples as well. In business land, this is the one that is used a lot for excuses. Oh, well, they won't let us do that. Oh, they'll never approve that. Okay, and in these cases, this is something that you're leaving out who you're referring to, the noun, Joe, Mary, the executive board, whatever they are. And that's noun is called an index. So we're leaving out, there's a lack of who we're referring to. What's the index? So we call this lack of referential index. Okay. Because a lot of times, especially, I'll give you a quick business story. We were in doing some consulting for a company, and they kept hitting us with this. Well, I'm not sure they're going to approve this. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's the second time you used the they word. Where are they? Why aren't they at this meeting? I thought you were the decision maker. If you're not the decision maker, then why aren't they at this meeting? Give me their phone number. Let's call them right now. Call them on the phone. I want to ask them, since you're telling me they won't approve this, I want to know. And now once you start, asking for their phone number, their email, all of a sudden it goes like, well, I'm just, and they start backing off because they just throw this out as excuse. Well, I'm not sure they're going to want to do this. Well, great. I'm sorry. I thought you were the decision maker. Let's get them on the phone. I want to ask them. I'm going to show them this information, see what they have to say. And usually that just goes away at that point because it's just the excuse. And that works in client situations too. A lot of times it's used as an excuse, or they're afraid to say if it involves a significant other or a parent. So these are just little things that should click off with you when people use this pattern. Now, by the way, if I said my Aunt Tilly, she makes the best cup of tea in the world. I mean, I love Aunt Tilly. She comes every holiday to the house, and oh my God, she's so happy all the time. Am I going to say, who is she? What do you mean she's so happy all the time? Who is she? No, because I'm talking about Aunt Tilly. So all of these need to be used with common sense put in there. And I'm assuming you guys all have that. Because we don't want to become the meta monster either. You don't want to challenge things that you're obvious, unless there's a reason to do so. Okay, so the next pattern, if I say, please run to the store, or the client says, I need to learn, I need to understand this. Maybe when you were little, somebody said, oh, memorize that poem, or I need to increase my sales in business. So now the run to the store thing is personal for me because I am married to John La Valle. And those of you who know John La Valle, he has a wonderful sense of humor. So if I said, please run to the store, he's going to say, well, I'm going to take the car, instead of running, I'm going to take the car. And I'm like, yeah, okay. You please take the car and go to the store. But sometimes when people say things like, I need to learn, if you jump to the conclusion of what that means to them, and then you start a process that goes running, and then it's not what they meant. They didn't mean go to school and learn. They need to look at their past history and what they've done, mean different things. How does somebody understand something? That could be through submodalities, through rep systems, could be a whole completely different process, a whole complete different strategy. So when they say things like, I need to understand this, then you want to know, how do you understand? How do you memorize? And increased sales is a great one. That's a great example in business. Somebody says, I want to increase sales. Now, you as a consultant, you immediately go into operation mode where you're going to hire more salespeople for them. You're going to do this, this, and that. And maybe it's not. They don't want to put people on. They're looking at a way of, optimizing the salespeople they have. And you just assume increased sales means more salespeople. You need to find out, what does that mean by increased sales? How do you want to increase sales? Or how much even to know, increase sales by what? So these are questions that are really important. And so many mishaps where people have failed or people have led people down, in a way that doesn't work is because you didn't take the time up front to really understand what the client was asking for, whether that's a therapeutic client, a business client, whatever, or just in normal conversations. I'm sure you've had arguments where at the end you realize you were all both saying the same thing, but just completely misunderstanding each other. So that's why it's important to ask these how questions. I say in NLP, how is the magic question? Magic how question, because how gets you much more information than other ways. Quick example, when my son was in nursery school, which is like before kindergarten, or, he was maybe maybe around 3 years old or so. And he got in a little tussle, a little nursery school brawl. And they said to me, you need to find out from your son why he did this. And I'm like, no, but I will talk to him about it. Because if I said, why did you hit Tommy? What am I going to get from a 3-year-old? I don't know. I just wanted to. Because, I don't know, I'm sorry, whatever. But I said to him, when you hit Tommy, what happened right before that? Because I wanted to know what was the motivation, which why asks motivation, but doesn't always get you good information. But if I said, how did you decide to hit Tommy? Or what happened right before you hit Tommy? Now I'm going to get information. Well, he knocked over my blocks and I worked so hard making that tower. It's like, okay, now I understand. So then I have to help him that when somebody does that, to choose a different reaction. And I taught him when you get upset and angry to push the magic button. And I anchored a relaxed state that would count down from 10 to 1, and he would calm down before he decided what to do next. And which worked really great, except the next day I got a note from the teacher that he was doing weird things in class. And I said, why? And she said, well, at one point he just ran over to the corner and he stood there and counted from 10 to 1. And I said, well, isn't that great that he can count backwards? She was like, what? And I said, what did you think he was going to blow up? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Like, what were you afraid of? I said, he's teaching himself how to calm down when he was angry. She goes, oh, okay. So how gets you tons more information than any of the other questions that you might have in your repertoire. Okay, so in this case here, the verbs run, understand, learn, memorize, increase are not very specific. So we call that the unspecified verb. Easy. So those are the 4, and I'm going to go back. There's simple deletions, information simply left out. Comparative deletions, information is left out in terms of how we're comparing it or what we're comparing to. There's a lack of referential index, and people say they, who, things like that, she, he, they. And then there's the unspecified verb, where information is just not specific about the process, and you need to ask questions. When people say, I want to relax, I want to learn, I want to be more motivated, whatever it is. Okay, any questions on the deletions? Because that's the 4 deletion patterns. Any questions on deletions? No? Okay. So, generalizations. The first pattern, I say, every time I try to succeed, I fail. You never let me have any fun. Everybody wants me to lose. Now, those of you that have children, especially teenagers, this is a pattern. Everybody is going to stay up late tonight to watch this special show. All my friends are going to go to the party that you won't let me go to. Everybody has, whatever. I used to say iPad. Now it's like probably everybody does have an iPad. But, everybody has whatever the new thing is that they want. So this is a very common pattern. Now, I had a client, I'll tell you a quick client story. I had a client where somebody came in and said, every time I try to succeed, I fail. That was that first sentence. It was an actual client I had much early on in my NLP career. I think I just finished prac, maybe master prac. And I had this client, and he said, every time I try to succeed, I fail. And if you look at the questions, you can ask back every time. Now, when you do that, you want to be careful with your rapport. Make sure you have your rapport established first and watch your tonality. Because if you're accusing, like every time, really, you may not get good information. But if you come from a kind of I mix a little bit of confusion with a little bit of caring, with a little bit of compassion, and I kind of like, wait a minute, whoa. Like every time, like every single time, then the more willing to talk. And my favorite model in this is Columbo. If anybody knows the Detective Columbo, if you haven't, go look on YouTube or somewhere and watch an episode of Columbo. He's this disheveled kind of detective, and he's always looks confused, and everybody misjudges him and thinks that, you know, he's never going to catch me. The bad guys are like, because this guy's an idiot, and he ends up tripping them up where they spill their beans and he catches them. So anyway, check out Columbo if you don't know that model. So I kind of use Columbo, a little bit of compassion. So you can ask the questions back, like every time. Have you ever had any successes? So here's the thing. One is you can match back, or you can look for what we call a counterexample. Because if they say, every time I try to succeed, I fail, and you say, have you ever had any successes? Maybe just like a little one or something. If they say yes, they have to break that generalization, because they can't say every time I fail, because you found one success they had. So it breaks that generalization, which, by the way, is a huge belief. So, and you could say, you know, you were laughing. You said, I never let me have any fun. And you can say, you were laughing when we went swimming. So here we're looking for the counterexample. You know, everybody in the whole world, I don't want you to lose. You're saying everybody wants you to lose. I don't want you to lose. So there's at least one right there. So you're breaking that kind of generalization. So here's young Kathleen sitting in front of this client, and he says, every time I try to succeed, I fail. And I'm all like, I got this one. I know what to do. So I go, every time? And he goes, yep. And I go, every single time? Yep. Have you ever had any successes? Like, nope. And I'm like, okay, I'm out of what I'm supposed to do. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him, and he had a shirt on, tailored shirts, had buttons all the way down. He had jeans on, he had sneakers or trainers, whatever you call them in your country, tied, you know, little bows tied on each shoe. And I'm looking and I'm going, oh, so you live with your mother? And he said, what? I said, you must live with your mother. And he said, no, what are you talking about? And I said, oh, wait a minute. You got one of those valets? You got like a butler, like gets you dressed in the morning? And he's like, you're crazy. And I said, well, yeah, but that's besides the fact. I want to know how you got dressed. I said, every button is in the correct hole. Your shoes are tied perfectly. How many times did it take you to tie those shoes? And he goes, what are you talking about? I put my shirt on, I buttoned it, I fixed my, and then he stopped. And he realized he was caught. Because he stopped, he sat back, and he laughed. Now, what does that mean for those of you who've had NLP training? What does that mean when someone is like, no, every time I try to succeed, I fail? And then all of a sudden he sits back and he's looking, he takes a deep breath and he starts laughing. Because when you have a belief like that, a generalization, every time I try to succeed, I fail. It's like right here, the picture's right here. You're associated into it. You've got the full feelings of it. You can smell and taste it probably. And then he sits back. He dissociated from that. He stepped back from that image. He stepped out of that belief. And in that moment when he laughed, as good NLP practitioners should do, I reached out and I anchored him. I call that the Cobra anchor. You see something like that, you just go out there and get that. I touched him on the side of the elbow and I laughed with him as he laughed. I went, yeah. And I said, now look, let's talk. Tell me what's one thing that we can work on? Because I'm not going to solve your whole life at this point. I said, but just tell me one thing you'd like to be able to do by the end of the week. What's one thing you think you can do? And now we had a discussion going. I was getting information. So sometimes it's important that if you can't get them off this generalization, to look for that counterexample. And that's where your creativity is going to have to kick in. And we call it being at the party, having your sensory awareness, that you're watching, you're looking, you're listening, you know, that you can see what's going on with this person so that you can make some sort of comment to break that generalization. And that's how powerful that is. Because I was able to work with that client in that moment. And before that, I would have just been spinning my wheels for a couple hours. Okay, any questions on that? Because that's an important point. Nope. Okay, so what is this called? How big is this generalization? Well, it's as big as the universe. It's the universal quantifier every time, never ever, all the time. So it's the universal quantifier. Next pattern. Okay, so I can't do it. I need to have it. I have to finish this. I wish I could do it. So in these cases, you have questions you can ask. I can't do it. How do you know you can't? Or you can use the yet, magic yet. You can't yet. Because that opens up possibilities. It breaks that generalization. You can't. That's a generalization. I cannot. Now, by the way, this pattern still has possibilities because it says I can't, which means that you can not do it. So I can't sing. I can not sing. That you can do. I cannot sing. But you want to sing. Okay, so we'll find out how to do that. The need to have it, have to have it, wish to have it, could have it. These are all different strategies for the emotion that ties into these patterns. So you can ask questions. How do you know you need to have it? That gets you a lot of information. What would happen if you could? Okay. These is a very powerful package of questions that you can ask to get the motivation and to understand how they're positioning this in their brain. Now, I'm going to tell you the title of this, The Modal Operators of Necessity and Modal Operators of Possibility. What happens in this case is that the necessity are the needs, the possibility are the possibilities. Now, I know you're not supposed to use the word to define the word, but it means what's possible. Now, the modal operators comes from the fact that there's something called a strategy. And a strategy is a string of modalities. So you get up in the morning, you have a strategy to do that. You have a wake up strategy, you know, so you start to move around in the bed. That's a kinesthetic. And then you open your eyes and you look around the room to see how light or dark it is. So that's a visual external. And so then, you know, and then you say to yourself, oh, it's time to get up, or let me check the alarm clock, or whatever it is you do. And you get out of bed. So that's a string of modalities. The modal operators are things that kick that strategy. So when you say, I need to do this, then all of a sudden that kicks in some sort of action. I need to go get a drink of water. And you get up and you go get a drink of water. That's the very simple definition of this. But these words go deeper into people's strategies of how they get themselves into certain situations. Whether they need something, they have to have something, or at least they think they have to have something, or they think they need something, or something's impossible when it really is possible. So that's what the modal operators are about. So I'd like to have, I wish I could, I have to, I need. And the clients, when they present these, they're literally giving you the priorities and how high they want or have to have this thing. So when you're listening for that, it's very important. Because if somebody says, I wish I could be more open to new ideas, well, that's great. You know, I wish I had a pony all my life. I never got one, you know. So, you know, you need to have, you already know there's a motivation problem with this client because they're saying they wish. So you're as a coach saying, what would you like? And you go, well, I wish I could do that. And you go, okay, well, didn't bring my magic wand today. So how important is this for you? You know, you have to understand the level of involvement, engagement also comes out of these words that they're going to use. So you want to listen for what words their client's using. If somebody says need, that's going to be harder to negotiate, and especially in sales or in business world. If somebody says it's a need, that's going to be harder to negotiate than somebody says, well, I'd like to have this. That's going to be easier to negotiate. So it just gives you lots of information about the person's commitment, motivation, and the availability that you're going to have to either change or lead them into a new place. Make sense? Okay. Now, the next one is something that's going to usually be run in a separate training session because there's so many of them and they're so powerful and useful. But in Metamodel land, we have things where we might say to somebody, before you learn this, which means that we're already telling the client that something's going to happen first. And by the way, when that thing happens, they're going to learn. It's almost like an embedded command. So it's saying, if you do this first, you'll learn this. So before you learn this, you will realize how easy it will be future. So in here, this is what we call a temporal presupposition. We're presupposing that something's going to happen first, and then in the future, this other thing will happen. This is from the language itself. When you think about that problem, it seems so far away now, temporal. That moves things spatially. So when people say to me, I have this problem, I say, oh, tell me about that problem. I'm not going to say, tell me about this problem. I want them to dissociate so I can get more information. So I'm going to presuppose spatial, moving the problem away. So when they say, I have this problem, I'm going to say, tell me about that problem. Because if they can push that problem further away, they're going to be able to give me more information about it rather than being dissociated. Well, tell me about this problem you're having. That keeps them associated to the problem, and I'm not going to get information. So how wonderful will you feel when you wake up feeling so refreshed? So how is, again, a very powerful question. And that is in terms of the degree of possibilities. And then when, of course, is, again, temporal. So there's so many things that you can learn. Now, just a quick example. If I say the dog ran into the house, because I want you to understand the difference between a presupposition and an assumption. Okay. So if I say the dog ran into the house, what do you know that you could presuppose from that sentence? What when you presuppose from that sentence? So how many dogs are they? Show me. How many dogs are there? There's one. You can presuppose there's one dog. Okay. It's not a pack of dogs. There's not multiple dogs. That would be an assumption. But from that sentence, you can presuppose there's one dog. Okay. So we have existence presuppositions. You can presuppose there's a thing that exists that's called a dog. That's presupposition. And it ran. So it has the ability to move. It has the ability to run, move quickly. We know that from that sentence. Now, what do you know about the dog in terms of size? If the dog ran into the house, then you know that the dog is smaller than the house. You can presuppose that, right? Because the dog ran into the house. Dog didn't run on top of the house, jumped on the house. He ran into the house. So you can presuppose the dog is smaller than the house. Do you know it's a dog house? Do you know it's his house? The dog house? No. You can assume that, or you can assume it's the owner's house, or it's the neighbor's house. You don't know. Those would all be assumptions. But what you can presuppose is that there's a thing called the house, there's a thing called the dog, that it ran, it has the ability to move quickly, and it's smaller than the house. Those things you can presuppose. And it happened in the past because it ran. It's not running into the house, it ran. So this is something that happened already. Those things you can presuppose from that sentence. Okay? All right. So like I said, there's lots with presuppositions, but for that, we'll just give you the example. So those are the generalizations. We have the modal operators of necessity and possibility. We have the universal quantifier, and then we have presuppositions. So any questions on generalizations before we move to my favorite category in the world? Okay. Distortions. Now, if somebody says, we need more communication, we hear this a lot in businesses. John and I did a tremendous amount of consulting for corporations, companies, small companies, big corporations. And we hear this a lot. Well, we need more communication. Well, what have you done so far about that? Oh, we had task forces and we talked for weeks on what the meaning of communication was. I go, yeah, how'd that work out for you? Yeah, it was like, well, bagels were good and on the meetings, but we really still have a problem with communication here. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to stop looking at it as a thing, because communication is supposed to be a process. It's not supposed to be a thing. They talk about it like you could go to Staples or Office Depot and order a case of it. Well, give me a case of communication for the office. You can't buy communication. You have to do communication. So the first thing you can do is to ask questions, turning it back into a process. So how do you want to communicate more? How do you want to be communicated to? Those are the things, how do you see your company or your department communicating with the other departments? What's necessary in order for them to be able to communicate to you better? That gets you information. Asking questions about communication, just builds more confusion, more blockage. And that's how people get stuck, because they get stuck in this distortion of a process being a thing. People say, I want more respect. Well, how will you want to be respected? How do you know when someone's respecting you? That gets you more information. Now you have something to work with. Creativity is hard to get. Well, yeah, but how do you know when you're creating something? What can you create easily now? Then you can look at the strategy for creating and see if you can build a better one, or look at somebody else's strategy for creating and see if that helps you to become more creative. So it's about taking that noun and turning it back into a process again. That's crucial. Okay, any questions on that? So what do we call this? Because it's NLP, and we already have a name like neurolinguistic programming where people go, what? We call this a nominalization. Basically what it means is you nominalize. And nominalize is that you take something and turning it into a noun. So in the process, we want to denominalize, to take that noun and turn it into a verb, to turn it into a process. So that's a nominalization. Okay, so if I say, when someone stares at me, it makes me feel insecure. When you raise your voice, it causes me to forget what I want to say. So here we have a cause and an effect. We have a cause and an effect. So you can ask the magic how question. The magic how question, how does someone staring at you make you feel insecure? When you ask someone how those two things are connected, the first thing they have to do is, again, step out of it to look at the process. So when they step out of it to look at the process, they're in a different state and they can then answer with more information. So how does that happen? How does my raising your voice cause you to forget what to say? Now you can still look at counterexamples. If I say to them, like, so in other words, if you were about to step out in the street and somebody went, hey, stop, there's a car, would that make you feel insecure, or would that make you forget what you wanted to say? And you go, well, no, that's different because they're trying to save my life. Okay, so it's not just the raising voice problem, it's something else. Let's talk about that. So you can always look for counterexamples. The best way is to get that magic how question in there. So that gives you the most information about helping them. Okay, and because there's a cause and effect, that's what we call it. It's a cause and an effect. Okay, so in the examples, time is money. Yelling is disrespectful. Success is happiness. These are, again, if you ask the how question, how is time equal to money? Because when you think about it, time, it's some hallucination that we all agree on. It's some mass hypnosis. We all agree on time. We all agree what a minute is. We all agree what a second is or an hour is. You know, it's not tangible, you know, but yet we would connect that to something that's money. And I used to be able to say money, you know, made of paper or metal. Well, now it's digits on a computer somewhere or all things. There used to be shells and stones and things like that. But still, how is money equal to this mass consumption of agreement of time? And that doesn't make sense. Again, they have to step out of that connection in order to be able to describe to you. So this is all about getting them to step out of that for a moment and be able to then give you information that you can use. So how is time the same as money? You know, have you ever heard yelling that was not disrespectful? Again, I could go back to that example I gave before. If somebody is yelling is being disrespectful, but if you're about to step in front of a taxi, somebody yelled at you, you wouldn't find that disrespectful. You know, you'd want them to yell. So again, you can still look for counterexamples in this one, either get the information or counterexample. I know that plenty of people who are not successful and rich, and the examples of successful people and rich people who are not happy. So, you know, then is also looking for counterexamples because people make that connection. So you have the how question or the counterexample to find out what this is. Now, with this pattern, for time to be equal to money, something pretty complex had to have gone on in order for those two things to be equal. When you think about it, and we know exactly what that is. And if we do the advanced session, we can fit that in. I'll go over that part. But something pretty complex had to have gone on in order for those two things to become equal. And so that's why we call this the complex equivalence. So if in order for those two things to be married as one and the same that are completely different, something pretty complex had to have gone on in there in order for those two things to be brought together. So that's complex equivalence. This is a great example, especially in business. I'll give you a quick business story. They hate me at work. Learning how to play an instrument is hard. My family does not want me to succeed. Now, what happens here is that the first thing is the magic how question. How do you know they hate you? How do you know learning an instrument is hard? Have you ever tried to learn an instrument? Because sometimes people haven't even tried. They just go, well, it must be hard. I've seen somebody else struggle or once or whatever. I can't see myself doing it, so it must be hard. You know, how do you know your family does not want you to succeed? That's going to get you much more information than if you assume what they mean by that. Then you get in trouble. And then you go down the wrong path with your client. So ask questions. And I'm going to tell you a quick business story. Had a client, business client. She was really good at what she did. And her boss said, you got to do something about her. I had no idea what the issue was. And actually, in that case, I told him, don't even tell me. Let me talk to her first, because I didn't want somebody else's belief about what was going on with her. I said, just, all right, fine. You want me to save her? Send her to me. So she comes, she says to me, they all hate me at work. Everybody. I said, so I did the everybody first. Everybody? Yep, every single person. Nobody talks to me at work. They all hate me at work. And I said, really? I said, how do you know they hate you? And she said to me, well, when I come in the morning, you know, she goes, I know that they all talk about different TV shows at night. They're following, hey, did you see the Masked Singer? Or did you see this or that? Or the ball game, you know, oh, this, that. You know, nobody talks to me. I walk in and people just, you know, they're down on their computers. They're on the phone. I say, good morning. Nobody even answers me. They just like huff and like look away. Now, I'm thinking, And I said, you know, I ran that scenario in my head and I said, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe they all hate you. Because in my mind, I'm saying, she's walking in and everybody's working, everybody's on the phone. What do you think that might mean? She's walking in late every morning and everybody's already working. So they're not stopping. And all they do is when she walks in, they all make faces and they all huff. So I said to her, I said, do you happen to show up late? She said, oh, I'm late all the time. She goes, I just can't get together in the morning. I don't know what it is, you know, but oh yeah, I'm always late. She says, but I get my work done by the end of the day. So in this case, she was right. They all hated her. They all did not like her. I don't know about hate, but they all did not like her at work. Now, if I didn't ask the meta model questions and I just said, okay, so everybody at work hates you, as a consultant, I could do a couple of things. I go, oh, we need to teach you some dealing with difficult people, or we need to teach you some interpersonal communication skills, or we need to teach you some rapport skills, you know, and I would have ran down that path with all these different things and it never would have changed the result, because the problem was that she was walking in late every day. So instead, I had to teach her a better wake-up strategy and a better way to get in time. And when she started showing up to work on time, then all of a sudden everybody started liking her. You know, it was a miracle. So the importance is, these are mind reads, okay? That's what this pattern is. These are mind reads. People are mind reading that this one hates them or that one hates them. Sorry. I didn't open up the whole slideshow because then I can't see people. And I hate not talking to faces. I hate talking to a screen with words on it. So it's kind of half open. That's my strategy. I like talking to faces. So in mind reading, you know, sometimes they're right, you know, and you have to find that out by asking the question, how do you know? How do you know they hate you? How do you know learning an instrument is hard? If they've never even tried, you don't know. It could be easy for them, but they have a belief, and that's what you have to address. But if you don't ask the how questions and you just buy the mind read, then you miss the whole point. And I could be going down the path with her, dealing with difficult people, interpersonal skills, rapport skills, and it wouldn't have made a difference because she still would have showed up late every day and they would never like her no matter what she did. So by simply teaching her how to be on time every morning and be happy about that with a better strategy, it solved the problem because I checked the mind read. Now, it doesn't mean mind reading is bad. I mind read all the time. The issue is, do you take action on that mind read without checking it first? So it's okay to mind read. I mind read all the time when clients are talking, but it just tells me things to check. So I mind read, ooh, that could be that. I better ask that question to find out if I'm right or not. Ooh, that could be that. So mind reading is not a bad thing. The idea is, do you check before you take action on that mind read? Okay, so the next pattern, somebody says, it's bad to ask for what you want. It's not the right way to do this. It's hard to learn new things. Somebody might say, well, he doesn't do it right. You know, if it's a relationship question, you know, he's not respecting me in the right way, or it's wrong to, you know, come home late or something like that. The right, wrong issue, the good, bad issue, hard, easy kind of things, these are judgments. And the idea is to first ask the how question again, the magic how. How do you know it's bad? Who says it's bad? How do you know it's right? Who says it's right? How do you know it's hard? Who says it's hard? Because sometimes these are just things that we develop over the years. We hear our parents say certain things. You know, I had a person that was just not progressing in their occupation because they never asked for anything they needed. So the boss didn't know that there was an issue with the department. The boss didn't know there was an issue with supplies, or because he couldn't ask for things that he needed. He thought it was bad to ask for what you want, you know, and he was raised in a very strict You know, a lot of us parents know this. You're about to enter the store and you go, now don't ask for anything. We're here to buy this, this, and this. You know, don't be asking me for, or you can get one thing while we're in the store. But, so if it's done without the, I always made fun out of it, humor and lots of love, but some parents don't always have that model. So if they really were aggressive with that, don't ask for what you want. It's bad to ask. It's rude to ask for what you want. When we go to Aunt Sally's, don't you ask her for a cookie, So they get this in their head that it's bad to ask for what they want. And then they get in a situation where they're not letting people know, whether it's a significant other or it's a boss. They don't know to ask or to find ways to do it, to tell them what they need, and then they're not successful in the relationship or the occupation. So you first want to know, how do you know it's bad? So you get that information. Where did that belief come from that it's bad to ask for what you want? Or how do you know? The magic how question, how do you know it's right? How do you know it's wrong? Who says? According to who? If you're sitting there and somebody says, you shouldn't hold your pen like that, sometimes in our mind, the first thing is like, who says? According, who says it's bad? Who are you to tell me how to hold my pen? So this pattern is, I'm at a loss for who's judging this performance. So we call this the loss performative. Okay. So that is the distortion patterns that we have. Any questions on the distortion? So we have the loss performative, we have mind reading, we have complex equivalence where two things are connected. We want to know how they got connected. We have the cause and effect. One thing leads to another. And then we have the nominalizations where we take a process and we turn it into a noun. Okay. Any questions on the distortions?
There were no questions, but
Yeah.
Jerry mentioned, or unless someone, Jerry did mention that he worked with a suicidal patient and he used mind reading and he was successful about it. I don't know if he
Yeah,
could
I'd love to hear
share
it.
it now. Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, unmute, Jerry.
Jerry, unmute. I'm gonna look for you.
I'm staring at him now.
Oh, Jerry, can you unmute? Oh, you have to unmute, or you want to wait for later? Oh, he can. You are muted, Jerry.
Unmute. Oh, he doesn't have a microphone? You have a microphone. There you go.
That's the thing what I was trying to say. I didn't know how to unmute, so I'm very sorry.
That's all right.
Kathleen, well, nice to meet you. Of course,
Nice to meet
Poliana, and to everybody. It was beautiful what you just said. And I remember, this is very sorry, actually, I will keep it short. A girl from India called Dimpy, can't forget her. She wrote on my Facebook and Instagram account that I do NLP and blah blah. And she wrote me. She said, "Look, I want to kill myself today." So I said, "Well, that's your decision. If you feel happy, does it make you feel happy? Actually, of course not. I'm gonna die. Well, so why you want to do it, right?" And I could literally hear, it was a voice call on WhatsApp, that she was somewhere in Mumbai on a very, very high tower. And you hear that, like in the movies,
Yeah.
And I said, but why do you want to suicide? She said, look, I was a Bollywood dancer. I had an infection, bacterial infection anyway. I'm in a wheelchair, and life doesn't make sense to me anymore. So okay, well, I can understand. So look, Dimpy, I'm going to ask you for a big favor. She said, what's that? I'm actually a very huge fan of the James Bond movies and Mission Impossible. And then some of those movies, they have a scene where the bad guy or the good guy is standing on top of that tower and somebody, push him down and the guy falling, and I see all those windows, the guy falling. So why don't you put the camera now? Because I would like to see that live, actually, and then I probably see you falling down. And at a certain moment, I hear the bones crash, and and your wheelchair. Maybe I'm a little bit lucky also, and I see some blood splatting. You know, then you have the typical 3 seconds stop, silence. And she asked me, are you completely fucked up in your head? I said, actually, I am. I'm bipolar, by the way. So I am. She was like, what's wrong with you? So in this moment, I was already like changing that focus to my focus completely.
Right.
And I knew the window where I'm going to start, fishing her back. And then I decided to ask her the most beautiful question, of course. Sorry. And I said, Dimpy, what difference would it make to you if you jump now, 4 o'clock afternoon, or if you jump tomorrow, 4 o'clock afternoon? Oh, well. And then when you hear that, oh, well, then you know you're in already. Sure, it wouldn't make any difference. So that's very good. But I'm asking you, why? Because besides being a therapist, I'm a very famous music producer. And I would be really upset and angry that you jump without even listening to one song, right? You're disrespecting me. You're hurting me. I'm actually very, very sad right now. So she was like, no, I'm sorry. So why don't we do something? And I sent you some music and you go down and you listen to it, and at least that I can know your opinion. That would be amazing. Obviously, she didn't jump. And I told one sentence, which was the perfect anchorage. And I said, look, we're all going to die, but not today. So she posted that on Facebook. I have a little video that she's explaining that. It's no marketing, no paying, nothing. It's really true what's happening. And under the post, her mom wrote a comment like, Sir Jerry, that's like the Indian people say, Sir Jerry, thank you very much for saving my daughter. So at the end of the day, I didn't really do nothing. I was not even there. But I distortioned her image of jumping, and I made my image very clear. I am fucked up in my head. I thought the way, of course, by mind reading, and I knew already what she was thinking anyway, but not that difficult. And I brought her back to me, and she's alive. She's now on how you know crutches. Yeah, how you say in
crutches.
Not that I say a wrong word, which is maybe too close. And not cockroaches. And yeah, she's happily living now, even if she's not really dancing. She now is a choreographer, so it's also for her. And if I wouldn't have done this and not opened the next possibilities for her, to know that she could enjoy being an instructor or a choreographer. So it was,
absolutely. I think that's a beautiful story, because that's the ultimate hero. We save lives, and that's a precious gift that was kept as opposed to being wasted. So I mean, that's congratulations. That's a wonderful thing for you to have as a memory, and also to have as a mark that the importance of being able to reframe someone. Basically what you did was you reframe someone that where they thought there was nothing was actually just the beginning of something else. One thing ended, her life ended, the life she had, and now she has an opportunity to start a new life in a different way, and that's that's precious. Absolutely.
So afterwards, I spoke many times, and there you're completely right, and it's about what you were speaking. I disassociated her anyway. I said, you know what? Actually, that day, that person on the wheelchair died.
Yeah.
Right? She was like, oh yeah, like that. So I love to do this kind of job. It's really true. I am bipolar 2 patient. And so I feel a lot of the emotions from other people when they are, because I go through it sometimes, thanks God much. But so, and what I say is almost very similar to what you're saying. I stop talking now. I'm Spanish. I talk a lot. So what I want to say is like, I don't really consider myself a God, but I'm somebody who is able, has that gift, like you say, to give back the life they deserve to people.
I'm going to give you, can I give you a hint on something?
Please.
stop saying that you're bipolar. You may do bipolar activities, you may do bipolar behaviors, but don't identify yourself, because your brain keeps hearing that. I am bipolar. No, you're not. You am Jerry. You am Jerry.
Absolutely.
You are
Absolutely. I'm not. This was just an example because I don't label.
Yeah. Don't.
NLP. I'm a good guy. I can do whatever. Oh, and by the way, I also have bipolar disorder. So I read at the end of the list.
Because I think what you are is a great empath, and that's, you know, that's important. And, you know, you also know have to pull back. So, you know, that those are all abilities that you can reach in and feel someone's pain, but then you also know how to step out and look and make adjustments and help them. And that's to me is a skill. It's not a disease. You know, and I think that's something that is important, you know, and for you, for your clients too. If you hear your clients saying, I'm dyslexic, you know, I go, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were Mary. You know, they go, hi, I'm dyslexic. I'm like, no, wait a minute, I thought you were Mary. Mary was coming to see me, you know, because, you know, and especially with kids, I do it all the time. The little kids come to me and go, I'm dyslexic. And I go, oh, really? That's so cool. And they go, what? Everybody tells me it's a bad thing. And I'm like, no.
Sorry to say, but I think the basic skill that we need to have is that we should be clowns. Because when people laugh, 80% of their problems are gone.
Absolutely. Good brain juices. John, if you haven't experienced John La Valle yet, he does a whole segment on making good brain juice and what that does in the brain. And that has to do a lot with, that's how we learn. You know, if we learn with good brain juice, we learn with humor, with good feelings, we learn better than if we're learning under stress and you know, suppression of those good feelings.
You know it yourself, Kathleen, and everybody sitting here. People who come to us because they have a problem. And when it's problems with a problem, they cannot laugh. So we make them see and realize that you can even still laugh, make jokes, even that problem is there. The more you make them laugh, the less big they see their problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How we navigate them. Well, this is how I do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much. Unmute me.
Thank you, Jerry.
Pollyanna, how much time do we have? I forgot what the segment is.
It's until 10:30, so 20 more minutes.
Okay. So let me just give you an example here. We could go and do a little exercise with this and listen for the patterns, ask questions back, or I could give you a little hint of some of the things we might do next time. Which do you think would be more useful?
I love that there's going to be a next time. So I don't know, guys, what do you prefer? I think it's, you know, like
keep going, or you want to do an exercise?
Let's do an exercise.
Okay.
So keep going. Everybody's saying keep going. Yeah.
Oh, they're all saying keep going. Okay.
We'll do exercise next time. We love listening to you.
All right. Well, it's important that you practice. If this is the first time you're hearing these meta model patterns, it's important. Are they getting copies of this afterwards?
Yes, they all are getting a recording.
Okay. So if you have not done the meta model before, I suggest that when you get the copy of this, go back and listen to the description of each of the patterns again, and then practice with someone. If you have someone that you can practice, just ask them a simple question like, what do you want? And let them start talking. Or it could be like, tell me about a great movie you watched, and just get them talking about anything. What was the best vacation you've ever been on? Let them talk. And just in your mind, start checking off. Oh, that was a mind read. Oh, that was, or if they go, well, you know what it's like to be on the beach. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I don't. You know? So, oh, it's a mind read. So just listen to the patterns and pick one that you think is important to ask a question so that you get good information. So, because in this presentation, you had the examples of questions and the example of the patterns that you'd hear from the client, so that you could go back and really, you know, do this exercise where you just listen to somebody talk about anything. You know, usually it's easy to get somebody to talk about a great vacation they were on, or a great what's their favorite place they ever visited. Get them talking and just listen. And not that you ask questions for every single one, but that you begin to get an idea for, well, that one was really clearly described, but that one I don't know. So I'm going to ask a question about that one so that you get that pattern back and forth. Okay. So
thank you, Kathleen. And we can do that during our calls at 9 a.m. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go down to, okay. So one of the things that happens when we're born on this planet many years ago, and when I'm teaching this live, I usually pull a big sheet off the flip chart, blank, and I hand it to somebody in the front row, and then I just start talking, and I'm like, oh, so when we're born on this planet, there's one of the things that happens is that, you know, we enter this land of stimulus response. You know, in NLP, we have something called anchoring, which is a stimulus and a response. Somebody yells, you feel this. Somebody laughs, you feel this. It's a stimulus response. And we enter the land of stimulus responses. And, you know, everything that we do at that point is we watch things, we feel things, we listen for things, we smell things, we taste things, you know, and I start talking about all this stuff, and I keep looking at the person with the piece of paper, and finally I say, "Are you done?" And they go, "Oh, what was that? What was I supposed to do?" And they go into panic. They go into absolute panic, because you hand an adult a piece of paper, the first question on their mind is, "What am I supposed to do with this?" You know, you hand a baby a piece of paper like that, and it becomes a universe. I mean, they would like be looking at the light through it. They would be smelling it. They'd be crinkling it and hearing it. They'd be eating it, tasting it. You know, they're happy. You hand somebody a big piece of paper, a child, and they're happy. You know, they'll run and get their crayons or something. They're excited. You hand an adult a piece of paper and they go into panic. You know, what am I supposed to do? Is it going to be right? You know, they go into test mode anxiety. So I finally say, look, you know what the problem is? You forgot what it's like to be a child. Because if you approach learning from that childlike thinking, that everything is a universe, everything is exciting, everything is wondrous, and there's no right or wrong. You can't succeed or fail. It's just about experiencing the information, that this all becomes easier. You know, learning things becomes easier and becomes more fun. So I have people kind of take on that approach of, you know, looking at the world through the eyes of a child, and taking that on, because our brain develops in a specific way. When we're born, we're a sponge of, we want stimulus response. That's why babies, if they're not touched or held or anything, can actually die, because the brain is set up for stimulus in the beginning. It has to have stimulus. That's why you do the skin to skin, and you have to be talking to them, and have mobiles, things moving around for them to see and hear and smell and taste. You know, it's all so important in the brain development, because this is how our brain develops. We're down here in the land of the environment. And in this environment is the land of stimulus response. We touch things, it's hot. We go to the edge of this couch that we're sitting on as a baby, and we fall over. We don't know you can't stand on air. So we're crawling on the couch, and we get to the edge, and we poof, we're like, okay, don't do that. We try and stand up, we pull on the coffee table or the couch, and we pull ourselves up, and we're constantly working on these stimulus responses. And this then enriches the brain to the point where we start to begin to make generalizations, so that when we get to the edge of the couch, now we learn to turn around. If you watch a baby, they'll kind of turn around till their butt is at the edge of the couch, and then lower their legs and slide off that way, because now they begin to build strategies for dealing with all that stimulus response. First level of brain development: get to the edge of the couch, fall off. Ow. Get to the edge of the couch, fall off. Ow. Then we go, hey, if I move my butt around, get my legs down, I can slide off, and ooh, no ow. So we build strategies to deal with all those stimulus response mechanisms. We touch something, it's hot. We touch something, it's hot. We put a mitt on our hand, we can touch it, no hot. Ooh. We build strategies. That's the next level of brain development. So now we're figuring out how to deal with all these stimulus responses. And we're running these strategies, running these strategies, and running these strategies. And things pop out of these strategies. And we begin to believe that this is the right way to do it. That this is the right way to do it. This is the safe way to do it. This is the easy way to do it. This works. These are all beliefs. And that's how we build our beliefs. From the results of the strategies that we ran as a result of the stimulus response mechanisms that happened. So our brain now goes to another level where now we believe we know how to do things. Now, from these beliefs that we run, that this is the right way to do it, this is a good way to do it, this is an easy way to do it, we get certain things from those beliefs. This is the way to be safe. Put the mitt on. This is the way to do this. This is the way to do that. This makes it safe. This makes it easy. So we get some common things that come out of there. And we go, I kind of like this safe thing. Safe must be important. So now safe becomes a value. So from running these beliefs, the generalizations start to categorize into these things make us safe. These things bring us happiness. These things bring us relationships, family, So now we move from beliefs to values. So this is the way our brain develops from the time we're a child, we're put onto this planet, to the time that we've got a full operating sort of brain. And this happens pretty quickly. They say within the first 7 to 8 years, you're pretty much set with a lot of your beliefs and values. So the brain has that capability, at least at that point. Now, that doesn't mean the beliefs and values can change, the strategies will change. These all update as we grow and get more information and learn new things. So, but this is how, from the beginning of time, for you on this planet, how your brain developed to higher and higher and higher and higher levels of function. Now, you might see something similar to this if you studied any other kind of NLP, logical levels and all that stuff. This is a little bit different in terms of they actually categorize beliefs and values as the same level. It's not. But, value is a higher level because it comes off of you having a certain set of beliefs. And there's commonality where you go, oh, this makes it easy. This makes it easy. This makes it easy. Oh, I like easy. Easy must be important. I like doing things the easy way. And it becomes a value. So they're not the same level. Each one of these has to have the one below it to support the one above it. If you're going to change someone's belief, you find out that the problem with your client is, I believe I'm a slow learner. I believe learning is difficult. I believe I can't learn easily. That's a belief. So you're going to be working on the level of beliefs with your client. Now, we have lots of techniques in NLP for that. So you use your NLP magic and poof, you give them a new belief. Well, guess what? If they don't have a strategy to support that new belief, so now you make them believe they're a good learner, they're a quick learner, they're an easy learner. Well, if they don't have a strategy to support that belief's only going to last as long as it does until they either hit a situation where they can't learn or somebody else says it to them or something. That's why change doesn't always happen and stay, is because we haven't looked at the structure. So what I say is that if you're going to change someone's belief, once you've gotten that, then you either have to go down into here and give them some stimulus responses. This is usually where we do the future pacing, go out into the future and see the next time you're going to be learning something and, practice, and you also have to give them a strategy. Or rather than change the belief, especially with learning, if the belief is I'm a bad learner, then you have to go down into here first, build a strategy where they have the example of, yeah, I can learn, wow, and then change the belief. And then what will that do in terms of, what value now will that give them? Now that they're a quick learner, what will that do for them? This is beyond future pacing. This is about building what I would call a holistic model for your clients, so that you have, that they know the stimulus response, they build a better strategy, they have that now new belief, and they know what that gets them. So what I call this is kind of like, if anyone knows the game of baseball, it's like you have to touch all 4 bases. So if you give somebody a new strategy, that's where you worked with them, you gave them this strategy, then you not just done, you don't just future pace them using the strategy. You want to know what they believe now. How has that changed? What new belief do they have because of that new strategy? And what will that do for them? And then go to the environment and future pace. You always want to stay in this progression. You're not going to get the new strategy, future pace, then build a belief, then get a value. You might as well just go in the sequence that it goes. So if you build a new strategy, you make sure that they have a new belief about it. What does it do for them? And then future pace. So you're still going in this cycle. Any questions about that? The sequence?
No questions, but there's tons of comments of loving it. It's genius, and thank you for breaking that down. Pure gold and logical levels. Yeah, no, this is
it's
amazing.
This is what makes change last. Because if you just hand somebody a new strategy and you future pace it, then it doesn't have the belief to hang this new strategy off of, because this is how our brain works in the beginning anyway. This is how our brain developed. So if we have, anything that we put in, if we're doing value hierarchy, we're shifting somebody's values, then you dang well better come back to here and have them practice that new value in the environment and see what stimulus response they get with it. Have a strategy for dealing with that new value in that place. And then what does that do for you? What do you believe that will do for you? So that you're touching all 4 bases in the sequence that makes sense to the brain already, because that's how it grew up. That's how the brain developed in the first place. So it gives you a map to follow with a client.
The questions are rolling in, and I know that Helen has her hand up, but then there's 4 other questions, and everybody's asking for an example. But Helen, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Kathleen. Hi. This is brilliant. It's fascinating. And I just want you just look at, some people here know that, and I've said it, and before you bat me down, I've always said, I'm dyslexic. But then you said Jerry said he was bipolar, and you said, no, don't say that, take it out. And you do bipolar now and again kind of thing. I've always been,
not quite, but yeah.
yes, I have written notes.
What's your question?
And I will be listening again, I promise.
Yeah.
It's just that I've always been told I'm dyslexic. So then I've always been put in a lower class at school.
Right.
And I've never been given strategies to help me out of it. I've always had this belief that I am dyslexic, I am stupid, a bit dull, a bit slow.
But you're naughty.
Sorry?
But you're naughty.
Oh yeah, well, who said that? Who said?
You said,
no.
You said you were naughty.
Okay.
But you are naughty. So there's hope for you.
Yes, maybe. But maybe I'm compensating for being a bit slow and a bit thick and a bit stupid. Maybe I am. I don't know. But oh God, the dog's farted. I'm so sorry. You won't smell it. The dog has. Anyway. Oh Christ, bloody hell. Excuse me. But the thing is, I still don't have a strategy to help me with this dyslexia that I do. That is there.
So okay, so how do you know you're dyslexic?
Because I can't spell, I can't read, I can't sight read. I can read, but I can't sight read. And when I read stuff, it doesn't stay in.
What's the difference between reading and sight reading?
Oh, it's like cold reading.
You read that word?
Strategies, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you can read.
I can read, yes, I can read perfectly well. It's just that I'm a lot slower than most people because it takes me a long time to understand. And things, believe it or not, things do move in the sentence. And I think,
Right.
well, that does make sense. And it takes me a long time to sort of go over that paragraph again. Now I'll go back over that paragraph. And by the time I've gone over it 6 or 7 times, I'm bored and I'm tired. And I
Yeah.
quite frankly, I can't be asked with it. I've had
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
But I've never been taught strategies on how to get past it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I do remember things, but I don't remember if I've read something out of Richard Bandler's book, then it takes me so long to get through that paragraph,
Right.
and then I can't remember it anyway. So I
Right.
have to go back over it.
Right.
So I do dyslexia quite well, Kathleen.
Yes.
I'm
Well, it's good
very
that you
good.
got one thing down. You're so
I'll have you know, I'm very good at it.
Yeah. Well, see, and that in itself is brilliant, that you have enough sense of humor that you can actually make that statement. And you know, that you have a belief about, that you do that really well. And what that gives you is, it makes you do things slower, you know, takes longer, slower to do things. So, and that how it affects you in the environment, which leads us to strategies. You definitely do need a strategy.
I really do.
But you also need better beliefs too, because unfortunately, you know, you were repeatedly told that over and over again. You know, it's like hypnotic inductions. You know, it's like, you have dyslexia, therefore you will always have problems reading and retaining information. You will, you know, they do all the hypnotic inductions. So you have to get unhypnotized at the same time, but you also need different strategies. And a lot of the strategies have to do with deep trance phenomena, so that you can train your brain to hallucinate things differently on the page, and to, you know, because you're already doing that for yourself. You can hallucinate words moving and stuff, which would be great for somebody who was doing editing in a book, for example, and they had to take a sentence and hallucinate how to change the words in the sequence to make it sound better. I mean, that's like a skill, you know, but you just do it randomly without thinking a good reason to do it. So you do it randomly and you do it well. So it's a matter of now working with, you know, a different strategy. And a lot of that has to do with, I would say, deep hypnosis, trance phenomena, where you can actually, one time it was just a matter of somebody reverse letters and reverse words. And we just had them build a mirror so that they could, you know, just look at the words backwards for them, which was forwards for us. And they just, you know, in deep trance phenomena, they built in a mirror that was actually in a design human engineering seminar, the DHE, where we have people build in tools or mechanisms in their brain. So, you know, there's lots of different strategies. I know lots of people that work with dyslexia, and a lot of it is going to be your own, which you already nailed, your own abilities for beliefs and values, because you've been able to work with it for this point. And you, like you said, you have one thing you do really well, but now it's a matter of using it differently. And you need a strategy for that. So you're in Wales?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Wales is very far away. I don't know really anybody.
Way. Yes, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, even like for London, it's kind of far from London even.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who works with, but let me email me. I think
Okay.
my email address for anyone really. My email address is the letter K and then the last name La Valle. So LAV as in Victor, ALLE. So it's just KLAVALLE at purenlp.com, which is our website, purenlp.com. So if any of you have questions that come up afterwards, you can certainly email me, but email me too about the dyslexia thing, and I'll see who's anywhere near. Because I think it's probably an in-person thing, because there's probably going to be some deep hypnosis involved, which I don't believe. I know you guys love the online stuff. I don't believe in doing deep hypnotic trance phenomena online. I just don't. And it works well, but if it works wrong, what are you going to do? Tap on the screen. Hello, hello. Come in. So yeah, but yeah, email me and I'll see who's somewhere near there. There's also some great books on it. There's a fellow, Tom Hartman, does tremendous work with dyslexia. He's got a great book. It's Hartmann, I think. He also works with ADHD and all that other stuff. But because these are all
do realize
these are brain skills. They're just unfortunately randomized.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different for everybody. The thing is, you do realize it. I'd have to read Tom Hartman's book.
I know, but I'm just saying,
yeah.
I think it's designed for people who have dyslexia to read.
Okay, all right, that's fine then.
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, but I understand. But I'm just saying he's a good resource. But I have to see who's in the area, and certainly if you ever find yourself on this side of the pond, you know, we have some great events and great people.
Yeah,
with great skills.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Now that you bring, Kathleen, the events, I mean, some people are asking about events. I know that is the Dallas event. Can you talk about that? Is that where we're going to
the Dallas event is,
yeah,
the Dallas event is a very rare, unique opportunity. It's 4 days with Richard, and Richard's doing both the morning and the afternoons. I'm doing a study group the first night. John's doing a study group the second night, just to, you know, catch people up on some of the language stuff that they may not have missed, they may not have had, just to keep up with Richard, because he's going to be doing 4 days, morning and afternoon. And the skill is Richard's mindset of working with clients, and the whole notion of being able to understand how clients territorize, and then how to remap that for them. Many people say, like, why is Richard so successful with all his clients? I mean, like, you know, he gets people in front of him, and within minutes, you know, especially in seminars, he doesn't usually take 10 minutes to work with somebody. He's usually an hour and a half, but yet he can bring somebody up on stage and in 10 minutes, you know, have them holding a spider. Deborah can tell you. Or, you know, doing things that, you know, would really benefit, you know, them for what they want. So how does he do that? What's the mindset? What's the beliefs in place? What's this model, you know, that I'm showing you here? How the hell is he doing this, you know, with his clients? So that's things he doesn't normally teach in a seminar. He's done it in certain mentoring programs, you know, like John and I have studied with him for, actually now it's probably more than 35 years. And, you know, we have to keep updating our bios. We have things like, you know, I have one bio out there somewhere that says I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm like, I have to update that one. It's more like 35 years. But, you know, we have this, you know, understanding of some of the things, and even I am waiting for this, because, you know, there's some things that I'm not 100% sure of that he does. So this is him really bearing his soul and understanding, you know, sharing his inner strategies and thoughts and processes of working with a client one-on-one. So it's called Advanced Secret Strategies for Change, or something like that. So it's Richard really demonstrating what he's doing with clients and how he has the success he has. It's not about teaching NLP. It's not about him teaching NLP. It's about him, you know, sharing with his inner strategies and beliefs and values and how he does what he does. So that's 4 days. And it's kind of we're calling it a VIP event, because there's going to be lunch every day with Richard. There's going to be a dinner party one night. It's at a really beautiful hotel in the Dallas suburb. And so it's just sort of a unique, crazy event. It's a small group. I think we have about 40 now people signed up. And so it's a whole experience. Then we have in March, we have Persuasion Engineering, which is the sales and business applications of NLP and DHE. That's a 3-day program. It's like $695. It's like really reasonable price for 3 days with Richard and John on persuasion engineering. Then we have neurohypnotic repatterning, which is sort of neurohypnosis and patterning, and as we all know, the sequence of information. And that course, I always laugh because if you just took the change work out of the practitioner course without all the skill-based things, but just took that change work out and then added in the things that John teaches about the brain juice and all that stuff, it's kind of the neuroscience approach to what we do in change. Because, and I laugh now when they come out with these journals and articles that they've come out with in the past 10, 15 years, where they talk about, guess what? The brain has plasticity. Guess what? You can actually change somebody's belief. I'm like, oh my God, where have you guys been? Richard's been teaching this stuff for 50 years. And, now they keep coming out with these new neuroscience discoveries. And it's things that Richard's been saying for 50 years. So I kind of chuckle a little bit. But the NHR is kind of that approach to it. We do things about, like, for example, mixing a cocktail. My example of NHR is people say, I want motivation. So you say, okay, now is that enough? Because that's my question. Is that enough? You just want motivation? Because I can do that. That's easy. You just want motivation. Yes. Okay. What if you could have creative motivation? So if I took the feeling of motivation and I put it in my little jigger there, and I put in creativity and shook that, made you a brain cocktail, imagine what that would be like. Because if you had motivation, there's one thing, you're moving forward. That's motivation. That's the feeling of motivation. You're moving forward. You're moving forward. You're moving forward. You hit an obstacle. If you just have motivation, what happens when you hit the obstacle? Frustration, upset, anger, whatever, But if you have creative motivation, when you hit that obstacle, the creativity part kicks in. And you not only look at that obstacle, but you go, ooh, how can I use that? What can that do? How do I get around that? How do I get under that? So it's about mixing, different emotions and resources that we have and looking at them differently. So that's the approach with NHR. Do you want motivation, or would you rather have creative motivation or some other, hilarious motivation? I don't know what you'd want, but, mixing, different brain cocktails in terms of blending different emotions and things that you never thought of doing before. So that's NHR. And that's kind of a fun seminar. It's 6 days. And we even have a hypnosis party one night where we celebrate hypnosis. And we have a hypnosis party where we all dress like hippies and play music from the 60s and dance and have dinner. And it's a real fun event, neurohypnotic repatterning. And then we have our trainers training. And then in July, we do our practitioner and our master practitioner and our trainers training and a coaching trainer. And so July is the kind of the steps in NLP. March is more of the applications of NLP. So how do you use NLP in business, persuasion engineering? How do you use NLP in hypnosis and change work, NHR? So March, we call our application programs. The following year, we'll probably do design human engineering as that middle program between persuasion engineering and the trainers training. And in Master Prac, I actually teach this model that we have here on the screen and connecting it to the inverse Meta Model, and which maybe we'll do the next time we get together. But basically that's what this is. But and so we got to get carried away with the programs, but Pure NLP is our site. There's also NLP Eternal, which is a fabulous streamlining site. Everything for Richard, and there's some things from John, some things from me, is out there. There's some older stuff, vintage stuff. There's some new stuff. Every month there's a new release to the streaming site. And some of it's audio, some of it's video, some of it's experimental stuff that's out. What sounds and images and things, very trippy. So it's a great site. Lots of things to do out there. Some things you can do without subscribing. There's the subscriptions, it's like $199 a year. and you have complete access to the whole library on NLP Eternal. So that's kind of cool for studying and listening and watching and having fun. I have one out there on building good feelings and supporting your immune system. I have one on sleeping, sleeping strategies and things. It's kind of weird though when people write you in emails and go, I fall asleep every night to the sound of your voice. I'm like, kind of email is this? It's like a little creepy, but yeah, there's lots of good stuff out there.
So Kathleen, many people are asking if there is any possibility that these events, like the Dallas events, are they online? And I know that you guys are, because we have people from
I
all over
know.
the world, but
The Dallas event is a no, and this is something that I don't know that we're going to do it again. It's a one-time thing right now. It may, it's really up to Richard. I have no idea. Right now, he told me he wants to do it, and he asked for this one. Actually, this was his idea. A lot of times we all get together and come up with ideas, John and Richard and I, but this one was his idea. He wanted it to do it, so I did the logistics for it. I have no idea when he's going to come up with this idea again. And of course, we're recording it, but I don't know that what we'll release from it. So I don't know. It will not be an online thing because it is a VIP experience, and so it wouldn't be fair to the people that paid for the VIP experience.
No, that makes sense. And
have it offered for
And is this for only NLP practitioners or people like?
Well, we prefer they have some NLP experience, preferred practitioners. I have let a couple people in that have done a lot of work with Mind Valley and done a lot of hypnotic training and done some courses with kind of similar things. So because we are having the 2 study groups, but we prefer you at least have a practitioner, or like you have the hypnosis diploma, things like that, and it really behooves you to have that, or you wouldn't really get what you need to get out of that training. If you don't have a practitioner of NLP or a really good understanding of change work and working with clients, I'm not sure that you would benefit from, other than having a great time. You'd probably have a good time, but I don't know that you'd really benefit from that event, because Richard's not going to dumb down anything. His whole purpose, for some reason, he has this need to download this, and he's not going to change how he's going to download it. A lot of the seminars, we assess the audience within the first probably 15 minutes. And we change how we do things based on the audience. When we do our practitioner or master practitioner, NHR, any of these courses, we adjust based on the audience's needs. This one, I guarantee you, he's not going to adjust. He is going to download, and you get what you get from it. So that's why we're doing the study group. We never do study groups at night. We're doing the study groups at night because we're hoping that we get everybody in the prime place to get this information from him in the 4 days. So I'm excited. I have no idea what he's going to do.
I'm super excited. I know that group of us are going, so that's really exciting.
And you guys can share what you learned. When you come back. Me too. I'm just as excited. I have no clue.
Wow, that's very amazing. And I know, Juan, you're here. Can you come off speakerphone? I cannot see you.
Yeah, we are here.
Oh, there you are. Let me spotlight you. Okay. There.
Oh, hey, Ivar.
We are here.
And we are awake.
Yeah. For the people that are asking online, I totally get it. But if you ask after this class, maybe next Saturday, for the people that train in Mind Valley and then had their experience to go to a live event, maybe a one-day class live event. A lot of you met Kathleen when you came to Orlando in a class that we gave, I gave with Charlie, and then you guys trained again, and you understand the people that did the live event or has done live event. understand the difference of these skills when you have actually somebody in front of you. I see a lot of you doing like, yeah. So I totally get it. If your training has been online 100%, to ask for it because it's familiar for you. And I totally get it. But once you have the live training, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back.
I mean, and I think there's a great blend of both, and both have a great purpose because we can talk to people from Spain and Wales and and Georgia, and we can talk to people all at once. So I mean, this platform has a fabulous opportunities for learning, and that's why I never mind doing like the language patterns, things like that online. The advantage in a live seminar when you're doing exercises, because now I would send you off to a group to do an exercise in an exercise breakout room, but you don't have the people in a live event like we do. We have people like Juan, for example, is one of our resource team. We bring in trainers and master trainers from around the world, and their only job is to walk around during exercises and help out people that are doing the exercises and give them advice or answer questions or really work with building skills. So you have all these great resources, and the fun part about it is sometimes so that we have Alessandro Mora, who's master trainer from Italy. He is a sports coach also, so he goes into national teams in Italy, Olympic athletes, and he trains them in mindset and strategies and performance things. So you might be interested in sports and sports coaching, but you don't know who to talk to. But my team has like somebody who does sports, somebody who does education, somebody who does business. We have so many different applications of NLP. It's like a buffet for you, to work with these people during exercises, and sometimes the little skill drills for the group and things like that. So how much is what event? Which one you talking about? The NHR or the, because I think I gave you prices. Persuasion Engineering $695, and that's 3 days. The NHR is $3,500 with early registration. That's $3,500 for the NHR. That's 6 days of training. And then the hotel always has good prices if you stay at the venue that we stay at as well, where the seminar is, and it's always better for traveling. That usually runs anywhere from, like in the summer, it's usually around $99 or $100. In the March, the hotel is usually about $129 or $139 or something a night. So they give us really good discounts on the hotel as well. It's about a half hour from the airport, MCO, Orlando International. So, oh, you're talking about the Dallas event? The Dallas event's $4,500 for the 4 days, and that includes lunches every day and dinner one night. So, trainers training is $3,800. That's in March as well. The prac and the master prac. So
from our group, we're going Cam, Sophia, Marina here now. I am going. So 4 of us from here. Then Lee from the practitioner also is coming.
Yeah.
And I don't know who else is coming.
Oh, for Dallas? Yeah.
Yeah, for
Dallas.
I think
you guys have, yeah. We have about 43 people right now. So Art Krebs.
Art as well. Yes, Art is also coming. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's coming, but he hasn't confirmed yet.
Okay. Art, go ahead and confirm he's in the call now. Yeah, we're counting on you, Art. So yeah, that's good. Yes. So yeah, we're
absolutely. I'm here. I
Okay,
sent you an email this morning, Kathleen. Sorry, I've been traveling.
Where's Art? Oh, there you are. Hi, Art.
Yes. Hey.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. Yeah, I haven't checked my emails this morning. I it's early here. So I haven't checked my emails yet. Got up, had my breakfast, my coffee, and
Yeah, well, if anyone else is coming that I haven't mentioned, please get in touch with us so we can coordinate logistics or whatever, and it will be good to be there as well. But yeah, and if you want to come, there's still time, seems like, right? People can still sign up, right, Kathleen?
Yeah, they can still sign up. I have no idea what the hotel availability is, but there's tons of hotels in that area if they're
There's
sold.
Airbnbs as well.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, and I, I think we could schedule another Saturday where we could finish that model that I started today.
Yes.
Tying in the meta model, because the inverse meta model is actually using the meta model. It's part of the Milton model.
Exactly.
So it works really well with that chart, but that's something I don't want to start on a time constraint. So
I am so excited that you are coming again. And thank you so much.
only for the laughing part. I'm just going to come.
Yes,
to
come
the
to the 45.
Here, I'll put my costume back, my Halloween costume back on. So,
And
I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween.
yes. And
Your favorite
I'll see you all, or hopefully I see many of you at 12. Today we have a master class with Juan Antonio and Danielle.
boy.
Yeah, they're gonna do a dissection of 2 sessions.
A
So they're
live
gonna-
dissection? What?
Yeah, live dissection. Yeah, they're gonna go frame by frame, looking at Dr. Bandler doing an induction from
okay.
NLP Eternal, and then
Got me
some.
scared.
Yes, live
He's
one.
ready. He's ready for the dissection.
I don't know what you guys do online. That's
Yeah, we are a very intense crowd suddenly this week. We had a lot of events like that. Yeah, so people are asking how to get to that one. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and put that link for the other.
if you go to Pure NLP and then go to the events page, not the get info page, go to the events page, and then you'll see that, and you click that, and it'll tell you the information how to do that. But you have to go to Pure NLP, then the events, and then you'll see advanced strategies, secret strategies for change. You click that on, and it has all the information and the link to get the application.
Yes. And I also put it in the chat,
Good.
but I'll put it again so you guys can see it. The
All
events.
right. Well, I really enjoyed being here today. Thank you guys. Great group of people. Like I said, I love that you guys are really working the material and learning and sharing with each other. It's just, I love it. I tell students this all the time, and you guys are the rare you actually listen and do it.
We have Pollyanna to thank for that. She's been very good at bringing us all together. And Mr. Juan Antonio Perez and baby Ivar.
And baby Ivar. He's our newest applicant for trainer someday.
So cute.
There you go. Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. I'm going to stop the recording. Where is it?
There's Danielle.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Very welcome. Happy Halloween.
Thank you.
You too.
Halloween.
I love